Hello everyone. Welcome back to our video Bible study series. This is Functioning as the Lord's Church. And in today's short, we continue in our list of edification strategies. If you remember last time, we talked about number 1, that is be selfless. And now today we go into edification strategy number 2, be respectful. This is such an interesting concept as you start to try and define and apply what it is to show respect. And the word itself, as you look to its origin, has to do with looking. You can see spect in there, like inspect or circumspect. And so to respect one is to look back at them, to regard them. This is a word that has to do with authority. You could think about giving deference to someone out of respect. It's a word that has to do with value. When you respect someone, that is, you regard them highly, you esteem them, you honor them. And it can also be a word to do with recognition. And that could be recognition of something you appreciate, something you admire about them, or recognition of power, even danger. And respect is not just shown towards people. Respect is shown towards places and even objects. Think about how we have respect when we come into a cemetery. It's not the time to be cutting up and laughing. You have to show respect for that atmosphere and for what that place represents. Also think about the respect that needs to be shown towards a firearm or towards electricity. Because there is danger, there is great power in these things, and so we have to use them properly. As we think about application for respect, first of all, being respectful of God, respectful of His Word is going to be essential if we're going to edify the body. You think about edification as we've defined it. It is the instruction or improvement of a person morally or intellectually. Well, yes, we need the truth of God's Word to be able to do that. And this topic, functioning as the Lord's church, of course, we answer to the Master. And so you have to have respect for God and for the authority backing His Word. The other avenue is respect of one another. And when you think about respecting different people in humanity, there are different roles, different offices that you and I have to look to in a special way. We have to have respect toward kings and rulers and authority figures. Even on the small scale, you might think about a teacher in her classroom or a police officer out and about in society. We have to have respect for authority. Also, respect in the home, respect towards parents and grandparents. And then in a broader scope, respect towards the elderly in general. This is something that God commands. And in the widest view, respect towards all people. And this is an important point because you'll never find any permission given in the Bible for a Christian to disrespect someone. There is no right and there is no authority for us to devalue someone, to give them a low valuation in our eyes, or to deem them unworthy. No, we respect all people, and this is chiefly because all people are made in the image of God. And so we do not curse them. We do not try and count them out. There is a place for everyone within the body, and everyone has value within the body. And so if we are building up, if we are edifying, we must be respectful. I want to talk about this in a couple of key areas. Let's look at Romans 13 and verse 7. Romans 13 and verse 7, this is part of that great government chapter of the New Testament, much to do here with governing authorities. And verse 7 says, "Render therefore to all their due. Taxes to whom taxes are due, customs to whom customs, fear to whom fear, and honor to whom honor." Okay, so to render what is due, that is to give what you owe, to pay where you are indebted. And then we go into these categories, and there's 4 that are presented here. The first 2 are perhaps very basic, and these are financial terms used throughout. And then the last 2 are very different, and that's where we'll see our tie into respect. And so first, taxes to whom taxes. This is tribute that people would pay toward governments. And of course, if the government has power to mint money and to keep the peace for that populace, well, of course, they have the right to demand some of that money back, to pay taxes. Also, customs to whom customs. And this is not so much the tribute that the people pay, but this is fees relating to property. You think about imports and exports or travel, as you think about transportation, tolls, and those sort of fees. These things must be paid for roads and bridges and whatnot. But then these last 2, fear to whom fear and honor to whom honor. It's all well and good to say, here's the amount that you owe for taxes, and so pay this amount. But fear to whom fear? Well, who do I owe fear to? And how much fear? How should I understand this word fear? Well, the Greek term can be translated as terror. It can also be translated as a sense of awe. And I think it's best in this context translated as reverence or a sense of respect. And this signifies a reverence which produces obedience. In the greater context here, we're talking about government being God's minister to you for good. That government is not a terror to good works, but to evil, and that government doesn't bear the sword in vain. And so having respect towards that power that they have to punish evildoers, we move in fear, that is, that reverence, that respect of that power, and we understand that disobeying government is rebellion against God. We have an obligation to obey both God and government, and it's if and only if you can't be obedient to both, then you say, I must obey God rather than man. But you can see here God's plan for us is a very orderly one. And so to be respectful, to have that proper fear. And the other term, honor to whom honor, this is financial language. A form of time is the Greek word, and it means to value or regard as precious. And so when we say honor to whom honor, there are those that we owe a high esteem, that we would value them and show that we value them by our actions. Now, closest to the context here, it would be to respect the office of these people who are governing officials. And if a man disrespects government officials, it's not hard to see how he might soon find himself disrespecting the law in general and being disobedient and being rebellious. We're not called to behave in this way. We are called to be law-abiding citizens. Now, another avenue that I wanted to bring in here just before we close, respect towards the elderly. Leviticus 19:32 says, you shall rise before the gray-headed and honor the presence of an old man and fear your God. I am the Lord. To show honor, to show favor and value of elderly people is something that God treasures and something that God commands. Notice how this is immediately tied to fearing God, and so if you have reverence and respect for His authority, then you must reverence and respect the elderly. And then that closing phrase too, I am the Lord. This command comes backed with all the authority of the Almighty. And you say, okay, but why? Why do I need to rise before and honor older people? And I think there's two main reasons here. First is their wisdom. The experience, the knowledge, the service that they've given over the years, and to understand the value of mentorship, how much we learn from those who are older, and then seeing how much care they've given throughout their lives. Now they have paid their fair share. Now they're old. We need to take care of them. We need to provide that same love that they've been giving. And then also another reason is because of weakness. And it's in this same chapter, Leviticus 19:18 says, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Those who are older, they often have infirmities and pains and weaknesses and need our help. And so it is an application of love that we would be there and do that for them. And so we respect the elderly because of their wisdom and because of their weakness, and we need to see how valuable this is to the church body. When every member of the church family is involved with every other member, even across generational gaps, even across age brackets, we are so much stronger and we benefit so much from this experience to truly be the family of God. So I hope that we can grow in this area to be respectful and that this would build up the church body. Of course, we have respect for God and His Word, the authority of His command for how we ought to function, and we have respect for each other, that each one would be honored and that special honor would be shown to those who are older, and we would have the due respect towards government officials. We'll continue in this list talking about edification strategies next time. Until then, take care and God bless you.